Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the year in the Tobacco-Free College Campus Initiative Webinar Series. Today we're going to share strategies and activities to engage your campus in going tobacco-free. My name's Amy Bogucci, and I'm really happy to be here to introduce you to a great set of speakers, connect you all to useful resources, and discuss opportunities for engagement on college campuses. Next slide, please, Josh. We're really honored to have a great set of speakers here. First off is Dr. Joan Davis, a professor at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. I just wanted to clarify and apologize. We had a typo on our materials and sent out info with her middle name, so we're sorry about that, Dr. Davis, and it's great to have you here. Following her, we have Catherine Hewitt, the Wellness Coordinator at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. And then finally, Josh Prasad from our team will go over some of the resources available to students, faculty, and staff through our Tobacco-Free College Campus Initiative and our partners. Just a few housekeeping notes. We ask that you please mute your phone lines if you're not currently speaking, and we'll have a question and answer section at the end of the webinar, and we hope you will participate. You may also ask questions via the chat function in the webinar software, which looks like it's on the top right, and then we'll address them as we can. Next slide, please. So without further ado, let's get to our speakers. Again, leading us off is Dr. Joan Davis, a professor in the School of Allied Health at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. She has a particular interest in preparing future clinicians in tobacco dependence education. Her campus participated in our one-day stand in November, and she'll share how she was able to engage her campus's students, faculty, and others in the process. Take it away, Dr. Davis.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm a professor at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. We are a very rural university, but we have somewhere around 16,000 students from all over the U.S. and many international students. We're about 1 hour north of Kentucky. So we're in an area that has a fairly high rate of smoking. So just next slide, please. Just a bit of history about smoke-free and Southern Illinois University. Back in 2001, our university was awarded a large long-term grant from the Center of Disease Control. It was administered by the Illinois Department of Public Health, where our university was tasked with creating a smoke-free campus. At the time, Illinois was not smoke-free. Our campus was not smoke-free. They didn't allow smoking in the buildings, but people smoked pretty much anywhere they wanted throughout campus and really throughout the state. So the CDC wanted us to kind of be a demonstration project where we had multiple departments: psychology, health education. Our health service was involved. Our local health department was involved. Our media, our communications department, just a great deal of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary collaboration. We also had active involvement on the part of the administration. So we had associate deans from different colleges, represented policymakers within the university. We had the administrators of housing, also the police department, and pretty much all levels were represented on these regular meetings to try and discuss how to implement a tobacco-free, smoke-free policy. As the slide indicates, the project was called Live Free, Tobacco Free. So because we had so many different faculty and staff and graduate students receiving finances, salary, a release time to work on this project, we were able to get a great deal done in a fairly short period of time. One of the first things we did was to assess the current smoking patterns and habits of freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors and graduate students, so we had a baseline. We participated in a number of national meetings, tobacco or health meetings, so that we could gain information. We met on a very, very regular basis to see what each group was doing to prepare for both the policy and the multimedia release to encourage people to quit smoking, and the idea of having the campus go tobacco or smoke free. So we went after meeting over several months' time. We realized that we needed to identify champions within the different departments who were passionate about this topic, who would work actively to move the initiative forward. So I have to say to those listening is that I understand that One Day Stand does not provide any resources to actually move their project forward. We had a very unique opportunity to get these funds, and so I hope you're not salivating too much that, boy, those would be great to have. But it was back at the time when we were trying to figure out what works on college campuses to move these policies forward. So we were very, very fortunate. One of the things that also this grant was able to fund were cessation resources for staff, for students, through the health service, and then also through the dental hygiene program, which is where I'm a faculty member of. If you could go to the next slide, please. My part to play in the initial CDC grant was to create a tobacco treatment program for oral health faculty to then take into their classrooms and clinics to create a cessation program. And that you can see on the slide where it's located. It's open access and free to anybody who would care to access it. Also, I just want to say that as far as going back to the history of our project, SIU, our university, passed a smoke-free policy in 2007, where you could not smoke within 15 feet of any doors. We tried to deal with the litter situation with the butts on the ground, and the whole concern was that if we went smoke-free dorms, students wouldn't come to our campus. So we never really did get around to that. But the state, because our campus went smoke-free, our town went smoke-free, that gave our legislators the impetus to go ahead and say, well, there is interest to do this. And the state did go smoke-free, and later on passed a law that made all public universities and colleges in Illinois smoke-free. So we have a great advantage to have all that policy in place. And so for our one-day stand activities, we really did not have to focus in on even awareness. It's pretty much a given in Illinois that there's no smoking within 15 to 25 feet of any building. And then all the campuses, you cannot smoke on campus unless except you can smoke in your car. So we don't have a lot of the activities in creating awareness because it's already been done. Next slide. For our one-day stand in 2016 at SIU, our overall aim, we decided because we were already smoke-free, we had the policy in place, we used the resources and materials of one-day stand to encourage students, faculty, and staff to help their friends and family quit smoking. So the way we did that is that our dental hygiene students and the health service participants, staff actually posted positive health messages on our Facebook page, and we encouraged students to like it, and then it moved through the system. We also had students pick out tweets that they liked from the list of suggested tweets that were posted on the One Day Stand resource pages, which we found very, very helpful. So the students participated in picking the ones that they liked the best. And then we encouraged all the 120 dental hygiene students to tweet that on the One Day Stand day and then kind of push that through the system. The students really, really liked that opportunity to share that with friends and family, to encourage them to consider quitting. Then we then had also a table in our student union or student center where we gave out cards that had the positive tobacco-free messages on them, that people who were interested in helping family and friends, they could take that with them. And also the students had their phones so that they could demonstrate the different apps that were available to help people quit. So we tried to focus in on a digital outreach because at this point in time we have no budget to do anything for One Day Stand or anything for tobacco awareness. Next slide, please. The One Day Stand at SIU Fall 17, we basically took a look at what we did last year. Tried to figure out what would be good to repeat, what would be good to expand. So our interdisciplinary activity with the Student Health Service, and then also the dental hygiene program was a good one, so we continued it. And so we focused in on, again, helping friends and family quit. So we had once again, we had the cards that we handed out, and we had our health service has a group of students who are called peer mentors, and they actually go out a week before a particular outreach and give away things to create awareness and interest in the event coming up. So the dental hygiene program donated bags of toothbrushes, toothpaste, and mouth rinse, and the tobacco-free card went in the little bag, and the peer mentors went out a week before and gave those out to hundreds of different students, kind of your theme, the One Day Stand theme of minty breath. So that raised awareness and got the message out to more people. And then on the once again, the dental hygiene students tweeted messages. They put messages on their Facebook pages and liked it, and moved it through the system. We also had created again the information card. If we could go to the next slide. So on the promotional card, we had information about where students or family or friends could go to get help on quitting tobacco, and specific information on where to call, websites. Also, the dental hygiene clinic offers tobacco cessation to faculty and staff and students, and also community members. So we tried to put resources on there that would be of interest to someone who might want to quit, or to look into what would be a good quit plan for them. Next slide. Other marketing stuff, we had the Facebook page, the Twitter posts. We wanted to let everybody know that SIU is 100% smoke-free. That was written on sidewalks with chalk. The SIU smoke-free policy includes ends, so no vaping and no electronic cigarettes. I would say, of anything, that would be maybe our focus next year, because people are very, very confused about ends, and does the smoke-free policy apply to them? So what use we see on campus, it's almost always electronic cigarettes or vaping. Very, very popular. Our student newspaper, the Daily Egyptian, did a very nice write-up on our event where we had the event was coming up and what we were going to do. Our TV station came to our table, our student TV station, and also our local news station came and did interviews with the Wellness Center staff and the dental hygiene students. The university posted this on our university calendar. The thing about this is that there's no real, I don't know about energy, but there is mild interest because of the ends, but because the smoke-free laws in the state and policy on campus are so ingrained, so a part of our fabric, there's not a lot of energy that we need to get something done, that we need to get something moved forward because it is already established. Next slide, please. So our actual, here's a picture of the fresh breath kits that were given out by the peer mentors and what was in it, again, to create awareness. Next slide, please. Our actual table was outside where students and faculty staff could come through. It was during lunchtime, and we had about 150 students engaged in coming over. We had a trivia game where we asked them a question that the students actually had developed, the dental hygiene students had developed, and if they got the answer correct, then they got a bottle of Listerine. So again, the minty breath. The table was going for 4 hours. We had a number of different students rotate in and out. And again, people, if they had questions, they were interested in finding out more about what we thought about e-cigarettes or vaping. So you can see by the data we gave, the Fresh Breath Bar included toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouth rinse, sugar-free gum, and bottles of Listerine. So we, again, gave away probably a total of maybe 200 toothbrushes and toothpaste. Because we're dental hygiene, I guess that was our focus, but it was an easy way to try and create a sense of wellness, a sense of health, of well-being, of taking care of yourself, and quitting smoking is a part of that. Also, a place where people could go to get one-on-one help to quit smoking. And tobacco, I don't want to leave out smokeless tobacco. And we do have a number of people on this campus who do use smokeless, but our policy does not include smokeless. It includes just smoked. So, next slide, please. What worked and what didn't? The beauty of this one-day stand is that you can bring in a number of different departments. You can bring in communication department, health education, social work, all the different allied health and health professions, and work together to have a great outreach to have a health promotion message. We found that trying to reach out to smokers directly did not work very well. They aren't interested. Well, they may be, but probably not at a table walking by. So we focused in on, do you want to help someone else? Here's some great resources. And actually that was very, very well received because almost everybody has somebody they'd like to help quit using tobacco. The trivia game did bring in people to the table. Next year we hope to have a wheel created where they could spin it, and so it would be more of a visual draw. What worked well were the beautiful graphics that One Day Stand has, and messaging for Facebook and for Twitter accounts. These are all digital outreaches that I think have been very, very helpful and very well received by the students on our campus. What could be done differently? It would be very, very helpful if One Day Stand could provide or create resources on to discourage ends or vaping use. I guess the jury's still out as to where this fits into the whole tobacco use process, but the CDC has a strong stand against the use of ends, and so it would be great to have some resources that reflect to help people not turn to that. We would ask, too, that if the one-day stand resources could be posted a little bit earlier so that we could reserve a place in the Student Center and to have a specific plan in place for when we reach out to other departments, so that resource material is on the website a little earlier before classes start in August. And our state, Illinois, is very underfunded. We have no budget. And so we have to be extremely creative on how to move this forward, do these projects without any kind of funding at all. So I would just encourage everybody listening to this that there are a number of universities out there at this point in time who have successfully gone through the gauntlet of becoming a smoke-free campus. And I would just strongly encourage you to reach out to one or two of those universities and find out what worked for them, and like a peer institution, and maybe they might have the opportunity to partner with you to get this done. There's no need to reinvent the tobacco-free policy wheel. An awful lot of universities have successfully done this, and I just wish you well and encourage you to reach out to others who've gone through this already, and it's well worth the effort. So I'd like to thank you again, and next slide. Here's my contact information if you'd like to talk with me about anything. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. Again, we'll hold questions until the end of the webinar, but participants, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and we'll be sure to get to them as soon as possible. And we just wanted to mention that we're really sorry about the sound quality. There seems to be something going on with the feedback. And so next up, we have Catherine Hewitt, the Coordinator of Wellness Services on campus at Trinity University.
Hello, everyone. This is Catherine Hewitt. I'm the Wellness Coordinator over at Trinity University in South Texas, in San Antonio, and presenting on our Tobacco-Free Trinity campaign and initiatives with a focus on some of our programming specific to the one-day stand and some of the initiatives and the resources that we provide our students. So that's kind of what I'll be covering today. And so I guess we'll go ahead and move right along so we can go to the next slide. So here we have the picture of our main entrance of campus at Trinity University, and this is a photo of our Northrop building, which is where a lot of our administrators work and a couple departments. And it's just kind of the heart of our campus, very close to our campus union and things of that nature. And to the left, you'll actually see our Murchison Tower, observation tower, which we decided to incorporate into our tobacco-free logo so students can easily recognize the tower within our logo, and it kind of all came together really nicely. And that's the logo that we utilize quite a bit, everything from our events to our social media to email signatures. So that's something that kind of keeps coming back up, and we've been able to utilize that quite a bit. A little bit about our campus. So again, we're down in San Antonio, Texas. Our campus is relatively small. We have about 2,500 students altogether. About 200 to 300 of those students are in graduate programs here at Trinity. We're a private institution with liberal arts focus. We have a lot of really strong humanities focus, and we have a lot of STEM programs for our students. So we have a very diverse group of students that are on campus with us, and we tend to tune in our staff members and our faculty members as well to a lot of our initiatives, again, because we are quite small. For me in particular, I'm the Wellness Coordinator here at Trinity, so I'm housed within our Student Success Center. Wellness services at Trinity was first implemented in July of 2015, and shortly thereafter, kind of in the fall around September or so, we have kind of picked up our initial tobacco-free initiative and sort of pushed our campaign a little bit further. Wellness services allowing that resource, i.e. myself, to be available for those sort of programs. So, so Student Success Center. So again, wellness is one piece of that puzzle. We also incorporate our counseling services. We have a couple of psychologists on our staff as well as one part-time psychiatrist. Inclusive of that as well is our student accessibility services, which a lot of people are familiar with, and we're also able to offer an accommodating testing center, which is a really valuable resource for our students and for our faculty. So that's just a little bit about kind of the structure of where I'm coming from, and worked into a strategic plan on the Trinity campus from about 2013, was sort of able to provide that extra support we needed to have wellness services on our campus. And that has really been helpful in terms of we can refer a lot of our programming back to the strategic plan, which incorporates a pretty strong action step for holistic wellness for students. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so next, just a very brief snapshot, about 2 slides, of the current status of our tobacco-free Trinity timeline. So you'll see TFT there, just the abbreviation that we'll use quite a bit throughout the presentation. So TFT, or Tobacco-Free Trinity Timeline, again, very brief, because it's quite lengthy, I guess, for the grand scheme of things. So looking back to about the spring of 2013, our health services, which is inclusive mostly of our nursing team, as well as we have 2 part-time physicians. We had 1 part-time physician at the time, but health services was really the department or the program that started to investigate what was involved with a tobacco-free campus and what does the sample policy look like. And really the foundation of how our campaign would evolve was started with our health services department, mainly with our coordinator of health services, who is a board-certified RN. So that's around the timeline when we get started, and fast forward, we're already in 2017, so things take a long time, but I'll walk you through the rest. So the following fall, in fall of 2014, the initial tobacco-free campus proposal, which was inclusive of a policy, was presented to and endorsed by our Health and Safety Committee, which is an inclusive committee or coalition of a risk management officer, facilities management, administrator, our nursing team. We have a couple of faculty representatives, environmental occupational safety, as well as a few of our TUPD, or Trinity University police officers. So that was kind of endorsed at the time, and it kind of just started to grow and expand since that point. So fast forward to the following fall, so wellness services is actually new on campus here at Trinity, and we're able to debut the Tobacco-Free Trinity advocacy campaign. So this is all about our logo, all about a poster series, all about a new web page that was developed. So students could go to multiple levels of different resources to be able to find out more information. And again, we were processing all of this through our main health and safety committee. The following spring, in 2016, the wellness coordinator, i.e. myself, presented our campaign not only to the Student Government Association, which is an evening program, to get some sort of student buy-in and a little bit more endorsement from that level from our student leadership, just one of many student leadership initiatives, but we also presented at an event that we have at Trinity annually in the spring, which is PDC 360, and all that is a professional development committee. So we have lots of committees, again, definitely at a smaller institution that we utilize, and this was our student life staff attendees. So a lot of folks from student involvement, from Greek life, some of my boss's boss, so, vice president of student life, residential life, if I didn't say that already, our counseling services. So, a lot of people and components at the staff level. We're trying to keep them informed and up to date as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and next slide. Okay, the last three parts we have in the timeline is from fall 2016, this past fall, is when we actually held our one-day stand event, which we have been hosting on our campus for quite some time, and basically well before I have arrived at Trinity. But I'll get into a little bit more of those details later, of course. It was a really busy time for us through Wellness. We also hosted within the same week. We were hoping to host it sooner, but sort of how time just kind of came together and played out. We had a Tobacco-Free Trinity Town Hall, which was co-sponsored by our Student Government Association, and we had some really great and strong vocal support from the president of that organization at that time, which was really helpful for us. And we also co-sponsor that event with our Trinity Progressives, which is just another student organization that any topic, whether it be campus carry, whether it be tobacco-free Trinity, whether it be mental health awareness, any hot topic they're really behind. So we wanted to partner with a great organization like those students. And then I believe right after our students finished their exams, we had a sit-down meeting. A couple representatives from the Health and Safety Committee had a sit-down meeting with chairs of our Faculty Senate. So there was a lot of progress made in a short amount of time. Just one semester, we had a couple really big events and made some progress. And most recently in January, I guess we're almost in March, but in January 2017, our implementation plan was developed by myself and then reviewed by our coordinator of health services, forwarded to our Health and Safety Committee, which then was forwarded to our university president. And lastly, earlier this month, actually just about a week or so ago, our university president presented our final policy as well as our implementation plan that we drafted up to our university board of trustees. And that was a huge moment for us, for the campus, for Wellness, because it was presented primarily as this is our plan, not we're going to vote on the plan. So it was more or less, this is your information, this is basically what we will be rolling out, and just kind of keeping them up to them as in the Board of Trustees members of this is an important wellness initiative that we're rolling out, and we appreciate your support, but regardless of kind of what comes with the discussion, this is our plan, so that's really exciting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next slide. This is just a snapshot of the proposed policy that we have. I know it's a little bit text-heavy, but just a couple highlights that we included in our plan. The buildings on campus where it applies to, what specific tobacco products are included in the prohibition, specifically e-cigarettes and vaping. We wanted to make sure that we included that in our policy. Notification through signs, flyers, and posters, and digital notification, especially our webpage that we developed. And we'll show a little snapshot of what that looks like if that's helpful. Quitting resources, and we have a couple programs including open office hours for smoking cessation and American Cancer Society resources, just so many different things that our students can utilize are all through our webpage. And then again, a little bit more on enforcement, which is something that I know a lot of people have questions on once that policy, I guess, is enacted or goes live. So one thing that is a part of our implementation plan is developing referral cards for people who may be in violation of the tobacco-free policy. So whether that be our tobacco-free logo, inclusive of where they can go to talk to someone, for example, the wellness coordinator or a nurse or a doctor in our health services. Possibly we'll have some resources for nicotine replacement if they go see a campus physician, and our webpage, things of that nature. All right, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so a little bit on where we found some resources for developing our policy. Again, there's so many champion schools out there that Trinity was fortunate enough to do a lot of research, primarily online, being able to find some ideas and definitely some verbiage and some language to use for the policy. And one thing that was definitely a priority language that we wanted to incorporate is using the Healthy Campus 2020 initiative. in terms of reducing the proportion of students who report cigarette use and smokeless tobacco, hookah use, etc. Excuse me. So that's something that we've incorporated to a couple of our marketing messages as well as the policy. And another helpful tool for us to kind of justify that we at Trinity are in a pretty urban location. We're pretty close to our downtown region, and we kind of split a major highway that takes you to some of the other larger universities within the city. So definitely utilizing the San Antonio Smoking Ordinance, which is a specific chapter in 2011, was helpful in terms of us being able to benchmark. Our city is trying to be healthier, and that's something that some examples that our campus wants to follow as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, here we have our Go-To-You short link for Tobacco-Free Trinity, or TFT campaign. So this is actually an older snapshot of our webpage, but basically you'll see the student success that I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the presentation. Kind of about little past halfway through is wellness, and kind of a subdivision or a subsection of the wellness webpage is tobacco-free, which we're really excited to be able to house our campaign materials right here under wellness, which was great and supported by our health and safety committee. So you'll see our logo. We use some text from ACHA and Healthy Campus, and unfortunately you can't really see the scroll, but this is also where we have QUIT resources available. We also have, on the right-hand side, you'll see Student Health 101, and below that we have an In the News section. So basically any time that our Tobacco-Free Trinity campaign or event has been either publicized or an article has been covered with our school newspaper, which is the Trinitonian, actually makes it onto our webpage in the news section, which is pretty cool. And we've been covered about 4 times so far across kind of the spectrum or the timeline of our campaign being enforced or shared, advocated for, whatever. So that's pretty cool. And we also have our poster series attached to the webpage as well as some other QUIT resources, relevant links, that sort of nature. So we think it's pretty comprehensive in that way. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so our poster series, so you'll see I've listed about 4 of our sample posters here. Initially when we rolled out the campaign, we had hoped to have at least 1 poster a month. That the motivation was our Student Health 101 with that 10th of the month deadline. So that was good motivation for us to be able to get in a poster ready and submitted by that time. And kind of initially that was great, but sort of started to lose a little bit of momentum over time. But between our one-day stand event and our tobacco-free town hall and our poster series, we were pretty much rolling out something new, tobacco-free Trinity related, basically either once a month or once every other month, which is we're pretty proud of that, considering how many hats we wear over here at Trinity. So anyway, going back to the poster series, we were able to collaborate with our university communications marketing department, so I'll go ahead and give them a shout out. But they came up with our logo for us, and they sort of were fielding a lot of our ideas and thinking, well, I want to see this, and this is how I want the text to sound, and we want to make sure our webpage is linked on there, and we'll continue to update the number of tobacco-free campuses there are. So kind of as this process has been evolving, our marketing department did a great job pulling together our poster series for us. And we wanted to incorporate, environmental health as well as personal and physical health, as well as some social health. So you'll see a lot of different angles and social norming and a lot of different angles where we tried to make it relevant and interesting and exciting for our students. So you'll see on the left we have the toxic waste poster series, again from the environmental health angle. You'll see the poisonous sort of poster, feeling good about quitting, and again the visuals and the graphics are great. more so kind of for like education and awareness, and we try to add like a little bit more like information tying to some of the themes that we use. We got a lot of great information from the Truth Initiative, as well as, again, like just kind of tailoring them specifically to our Trinity students. We thought that was really would be valuable for the students. Next slide. Okay, and these are the just two other posters I had picked kind of at random to show everyone. So smokers can and do quit smoking. So kind of coming from a social norm perspective, where nearly, close to 74% of people who had ever smoked at one time or used tobacco, smoked, yes, at one time in their life had been able to successfully quit. Looking at a 2012 statistic from USDHHS, so that was, again, we pooled a lot of resources from there. Our short link is there. And then we also kind of factored in secondhand smoke from exposure and things in terms of like deaths related to those particular issues. So again, just a couple of examples of things that we've been able to use and incorporate. And kind of initially, our marketing department was good about pulling these together for us. But after a certain amount of time and a little bit of training, I was actually able to do the last couple posters on my own. So the most recent poster we put together was about how much money Americans were spending on tobacco products. Since our students are very into financial wellness and conscious of budget, again, we've been trying to think of other angles that we can deliver our messages, and being pretty proud that we're able to go ahead and work on some of these posters on our own. So we kind of graduated to that level of design, which we're proud of as well. All right, next slide. Okay, so one of the main focuses of my presentation today is taking a look at our one-day Stand Against Tobacco event. Again, so our campus went completely tobacco-free on the 17th of November this fall, but our actual physical event was on the evening before, on the 16th of November. So what was great is we were able to utilize these one-day stand advertisements, whether it be definitely the posters, and we have made these posters banner size, which are really effective use of catching students' attention in our Coates University Center, as well as our dining hall, our large dining hall, where most of our students are in that space, usually twice a day, or if not, at least once a day. And another thing that kind of makes that helpful is Trinity has a 3-year residency requirement. So we do have a lot of foot traffic through those areas, definitely for first-year sophomores and junior students. So again, this is just the example poster and flyer that we used. And we also were able to tweak the materials a little bit, again, using similar text and just adding the sponsors of the program, health services and wellness services, again, so our prevention, education, and outreach, as well as, somebody representing kind of the treatment side of things. One of our nurses was staffed at the tables with us. The logos you see are our Tobacco-Free Trinity, the TFCCI logo, as well as the Quit text logo. So I'll get into that referral process in just a minute, but that was a team tabling event. And again, we absolutely use these on our Facebook account and Instagram account for wellness services. So that was just another way we were able to get that out to students. On the right-hand side there, you see a tiger. That is Leroy. That is our school mascot. And he's actually wearing a T-shirt from the Great American Smokeout, I want to say probably from the early 2000s, maybe. So we had this T-shirt lying around, and we were actually able to reuse it. So sometimes we just have to get creative with some of the things that you have. But the fact that Leroy was there was a great way to get students to come up to us and talk to us about the program that we were offering, as well as just being creative with some of the resources that you might be hanging on to for a little while. All right, next slide. Okay, so again, we have the event on the 16th in the evening, 5 to 7. So this is primarily when you see the most foot traffic through our dining hall, which is Maybe. There's the sponsors, again, A couple of the information that we and resources that we had for students, again, we had sort of your general brochures and flyers, but mostly specific to the harmful effects of tobacco in general, as well as we tried to stock up a little bit more on e-cigarettes and vaping brochures and handouts. So those are like kind of just the giveaways that we had in terms of information. But we also had we had a trifold board that we had posted with some of our posters on it, as well as the One Day Stand logo and a couple of like did you know facts, just kind of as more of like a visual presentation. But we also had some other, I guess, swag, you can call it, or giveaways, including we have tobacco-free Trinity wristbands that are maroon for our Trinity Maroon, and we also gave away our tobacco-free Trinity mints, again, kind of keeping with the Fresh Breath theme, and we can easily incorporated our logo into that as well, and those are really well received by students. So I was tabling at the event, as well as, again, I had a nurse with me, and she was actually recently hired over the summer, so this was her first event kind of being outside of our health services office and being out with students and kind of seeing them in a different capacity, and they were seeing her in a different capacity, so it was really exciting, I think, all around. All right, next slide. So a couple of the other events besides just kind of paper resources that we were handing out, we utilized a spin wheel, which is kind of bounced around all over campus, but primarily it belongs to our residential life department. But what we did is had some sort of tobacco-free or tobacco health-related trivia questions. And these were the main kind of themes that we came up with, but we probably had about 10 questions or so for our students to answer. And the trivia spin wheel is a great way to get students easily engaged and excited about what you're doing, so that was really absolutely effective for us. So some of the trivia themes and questions that we were asking are about, how do you know if you'll be able to quit successfully? Is it a combination of speaking to someone in person versus nicotine replacement versus, any other thing that you can kind of pull together to make your success rate higher for quitting tobacco. Cost of tobacco, how tobacco use affects your pet health, which students were really interested in finding out more about that. We talked a little bit about chippers, so introducing the concept of students who smoke kind of just on a social basis or here and there. What does that rate of kind of social smoking turn into a long-term smoker or tobacco user? So we talked about that. We talked a little bit about chewing tobacco and hookah use, kind of make it a little bit more inclusive of kind of everything of the wheel primarily. So we did that, and we also offered One Day Stand Wingman postcards. So you'll see on a lot of the marketing messages, be a wingman for someone else, and that's exactly what we are trying to encourage. So a lot of our students would share with us, okay, I don't smoke, but somebody I know smokes, and that really kind of speaks into what the TFCCI campaign embodies, right? So, and even students were speaking, whether it was on their family's behalf or a roommate's behalf or someone that they knew, I don't smoke, but I know someone who smokes. How do I, start up a conversation with them about the One Day Stand, or how do I start a conversation of, I'm concerned about their health. So these Wingman postcards were super helpful. On one side, again, they had the One Day Stand logo, but what you see here is just the reverse side. So because there is no safe form of tobacco, I hope you'll accept the challenge to take the One Day Stand to quit tobacco. I'll help you get through the day with encouragement, support, and more information can be found at this webpage. So again, there's multiple ways that we can kind of work in our webpage to some of the resources that we use, and this was just one of those examples. All right, so here you'll see our how we utilize the Quit Text program. So essentially, the Quit Text program is a grant initiative out of the University of Texas at San Antonio Health Science Center. So they have, they're primarily known for a little bit more of the research and cancer research specifically. So this was just one of their behavioral health programs that I was able to get in touch with probably about a year or so ago, when they had one of their staff members reach out to me kind of as a connection, and we've been able to utilize them in a handful of different events. So definitely for our one-day stand event, as well as we continue to have the Quit Text program come table at our health fairs, and especially as we transition through making our tobacco-free Trinity policy official. So essentially what the Quit Text program is, it is a free texting support cessation program. So it helps you quit via text support. So even with our counseling services, we'll notice that our students are really into having reminders via text and would prefer, and have a little bit of sometimes social anxiety using a phone line or just calling. So we thought that, having a text support was super interesting, and thought it would be a valuable resource not only to students who are interested in quitting tobacco, but also if they're being a wingman for someone, they can easily provide a support that is a text service, which is really neat. So again, another thing that's pretty unique specifically to our area here in San Antonio is the program is offered in English and in Spanish. And the research out of this particular office has shown that quitting success rates can double, again, if you have initial support, and this is just a digital support. So essentially you're given like a code that you would text in to the Quit Text line, and then you're able to be offered tips to quit smoking, just support and encouragement. You're going to have a great day today, and here's what you can do to start working on your quit tobacco plan. It can play music. It will keep track of your quit date that you set, and it'll also offer suggestions for nicotine replacement information. So pretty cool, comprehensive program. And I know the other day one of the questions that came through was how exactly was this program started, and since it's not a Trinity program, it's a community partnership referral, more or less. More information can be found at quittext.org, and you can easily just even Google that, and it'll come up right away for you. So we basically, at our table, not only did we do our trivia wheel, but we were also able to kind of chat with students, just a quick screening, and then refer them to our neighboring or our team table, the Quit Text program, if they were interested in, again, not only quitting for the day, but in hopes of setting more of a long-term goal or a quit plan. So that, so you'll see in the next slide, and I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. So you'll see with our one-day stand photos, kind of how it looked like and how we set it up. So you'll see Leroy, you'll see kind of Leroy and the student are blocking. We had our trifold board up on the left, but then you'll see our wellness wheel, our trivia wheel in the middle. The woman in the striped shirt is Yvette, who is our staff nurse, and I was taking the picture. And on the right is our Quit Text program with two of the staff. They had Andrea and Raphael there with Leroy. Okay. Next, I just want to do a quick highlight of another program that we had around the same time in the fall in November, which is our town hall meeting. I spoke a little bit about some of the co-sponsors, which you'll see in the gold ribbon at the bottom of the flyer. But this is where we actually, as per a recommendation from our university president, held a tobacco-free Trinity town hall meeting, which was in one of our larger lecture halls on upper campus here at Trinity. Again, this was more or less, this initiative is happening, which was guided by our moderator, who was the president. So we did have the president moderate this event for us, which was great. But we were telling students, like, this wellness initiative will eventually go through, but this is your time to learn more information and to ask questions. So about one half of the program was pre-set questions for the panelists. So again, the president was moderating, but myself was the panelist as wellness coordinator. We also had a super healthy student sit on the panel who is a senior this year and has plans for medical school and is really involved in physical fitness activities on campus. He actually teaches a couple of really fun yoga classes So kind of tapping into, a passionate student, he was willing to help out with this event, which was great, and also gave some real perspective as well in terms of some of the questions that came up throughout the panel. And then we had a full professor from our biology department who was the third panelist. So we kind of have a couple of different perspectives. And even our professor was able to share some information about, 30 years ago when I first started working here, there was smoking in meetings, and now we've come so far, and even public health-wise, 50 years of research have shown that tobacco has negative effects on your health, and was able to kind of provide a couple of statistics, which from that angle I think was really appreciated by our students because they want to know the facts and they want to know the research, and he was a great person to be able to offer that to them. So we had a great turnout. We had not only the representatives from the student orgs that are listed there, but we also had some community members come support the campaign initiative. We had some health and safety committee members present for the town hall as well. And we were able to go ahead and really summarize some of the initiatives and kind of the wellness priorities incorporated into this policy and the campaign and the potential implementation plan. So it was a great way to kind of put it all out there. And we took about, so initially kind of the preset questions were about a half hour or so, and then it was about a half hour of questions from students. So ranging from anywhere to, well, what are the policies now? I'm not really familiar, and we could coach them through that, as well as basically what's the timeline look like, and those sort of things. So it was a great opportunity for a program and for our students to learn a lot more. So just wanted to highlight that really quickly. Next slide. The next slide I have is just a handout that was generated initially for faculty after our meeting with the chairs of the Faculty Senate in the fall. But we also utilized this as an opportunity to deliver it to people who attended the town hall, and also more than just the Faculty Senate members. So this handout went, multiple copies of this handout or flyer went to all the academic departments. So we ended up, again, our campus is quite small, but we ran close to about 400 copies to be distributed to the academic departments. So again, included our town hall highlight, Healthy Campus 2020 information. We actually used a TFCCI graph about the evolution of smoke-free campuses, smoke-free college campuses. We threw in one of our posters, and we listed not only the number of smoke-free and tobacco-free campuses in the U.S., but we also listed about 20-plus universities who are tobacco-free in the state of Texas. So we thought that would be helpful for us as well, considering our university president was hopeful we would not be the last university in Texas to go tobacco-free. I don't know if we will or not, but we're getting there. So that's, I think, what's really important and valuable. And the last slide I have here is just my contact information. So again, Catherine Hewitt, Wellness Coordinator at Trinity. There's my email and phone number. I just wanted to add that these programs, although they may, feel small, a lot of these continued just outreach and presence really do add value, not only for your students, but in terms of, you can track all this information via your timeline and then show these are all the events that we had pieced together for the greater good for the eventual policy implementation date. And this has really, I think, been helpful for us over the long term, again, looking back from 2013 to where we are now, to eventually become a tobacco-free campus. So hoping for an official implementation date of early August, but now we've gone kind of through the Board of Trustee piece, we've gone through the Town Hall, we've gone through the one-day stand, so essentially we've just been checking, one thing off the list and really have still been pushing quite hard. And even in January, we issued a health behavior survey, so utilizing ACHA, NCHA, language to assess, okay, what are the current health trends or health issues and concerns of our students, and we were able to kind of expand upon the tobacco usage section. So we might not have done that if we weren't in the middle of a tobacco-free campaign. So although we don't have that data back yet, we'll still be able to use that for future posters, or who knows, as we go through this implementation plan, which again we're hoping for early August, if and when that should happen. So again, just really thankful for the time on the webinar today, and appreciate everybody who tuned in. And if there's any other questions, again, there's my contact information, and would be more than willing to coach through any of the initiatives that we have, share our implementation plan or resources. I'm more than willing to go ahead and do that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Davis and Ms. Hewitt. It's been great to see how your one-day stand and the events you run on campus has been helpful for you. We hope everyone else here has found it useful, and hopefully the Q&A was helpful as well, too. Thank you for bearing with us through the sound, and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Great. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Bye-bye.